views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
May our lives be a reflection of the love that's inside. Our eyes be the windows, we have nothing to hide. May our spirits be joyful and our hearts open wide. Gifted and giving on this spiritual ride. Love is here for the giving. Let your heart be your guide. It's your life, so start living.
Wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's great to have you all tune us in, tune us on. If you want more information about us, go to the drpatshow.com. That's what you're tuning into right now, or transformationtalkradio.com. Check it out. Take a look at our lineup, what we've got going on in some of the upcoming weeks, and especially the launch of transformationradio.fm. Today, I'm so glad to have Randi Ragan join us here today. And we're about to have a conversation about the year of living mindfully. And just saying that, a year of living mindfully, a year of living mindfully. You know, the question really that comes to mind for so many of us is, what exactly does that mean? You know, how do we look at nourishing our body, our mind, and our spirit? You know, how can we literally build up the kind of stamina that the world does require of us today? You know, is this a drive-by into self-care, or are we being asked to take a more holistic well-being look at life? Well, Randi is the founder of Green Bliss, and you're going to hear about that, Green Bliss Eco Spa, 10 years in LA. And beyond all of that, been on television, been in magazines, been on radio. The question then becomes, you know, what is it about her message and her passion that enables all of us to say yes to a year of living mindfully? Randi, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pat. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I love this book, and the reason, and I love your message. If there were ever going to be a year of living mindfully,
perhaps this one.
Oh, I'm saying we better be starting to really look at this right now, okay? You know, I mean, there's no easy way to say that sometimes we have to get our head out of the sand in order to figure out that we're actually awake and alive.
That's true.
And I wanted to ask you about that. You know, when we hear the words a year of living mindfully, many people understand different aspects of it, but you have a very holistic idea about it, and I'd love for you to share that with us.
Thank you. I think it's just, I want people to consider their lives as having a mission and a purpose, and that can unfold in many different ways, and really will as you move through your life, decade by decade. And it goes above and beyond just what we make for our career choices or what we make for our family choices. It's I like to say the world needs all of you. Your community needs all of you. And all of that is to say your full engagement, firing on all pistons for body, mind, heart, and spirit. And the best way to do that is to first realize the connectedness between all four quadrants of your human life, so that everything that you do has an action and a reaction and an equal and opposite action, if you will. That's straight from physics, but it's true. So that everything that you do, let's say, in terms of trying to create emotional balance in your life, will be affected in your physical health. It'll be affected by and for your spiritual health. And it will be affected by and for your mental health. So you can't separate out those components, although it's easy to do that. It's easy to isolate one thing and say, oh, this is just the only thing that I really need to focus on now, or that's the thing that's bothering me the most. But I think when you start peeling back the layers of our experiences on a day-to-day basis, what you find very quickly, what anybody would find very quickly with just a brief cursory exploration, is that it's all connected. And you can't have mental health without spiritual health, and you can't have physical health without emotional health, and vice versa, all the way around the circle, over and over, continually. And I kind of think that's a beautiful thing, because it gives us so many ways to look at our lives. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, looking at our lives is really something that I think we have to put to the forefront of our chat today. You know, the question I think that comes to mind is, how do we do that? You know, I wanted to ask you this question, Randi. How do we do that? How do we look at our lives, right? And know that trusting in the process to live mindfully is really going to work.
Well, it's a from the outset, if you're not familiar with what it means to live mindfully, it can seem overwhelming. Yeah. But it's truly a very simple, very easy, very immediate way to engage with your daily experience. Mm-hmm. So it can start the moment that you wake up and how you begin your day. And mindfulness, I must say, just to back up a little bit, really just means paying attention in the present moment on purpose without judgment, right? So you can exercise and practice that concept by sitting still and quiet and meditating, which is certainly the first thing that probably most people think of. But I'm sort of advocating for just kind of laying that idea over your everyday life, so that when you get up, are you entering your day full of energy and vigor and calm organization, or are you throwing your feet over the side of the bed and then it immediately feels like chaos? You know, are you grabbing something barely nutritious to eat as you race out the door and start dealing with your day? Or have you thought about the kind of nourishment that you want to put into your body? It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to get up and start cooking at 5 a.m. Yeah. But, you know, in little ways, what are you doing to nourish your body and your soul and your emotional stability very first thing in the morning? And then how are you approaching your day? Are you, again, racing out the door, trying to get to work on time? And if that's the case, are there any kind of little tiny steps that you can take the night before to kind of help to mitigate that chaos in the morning? Can you get up maybe 15 minutes earlier? Can you lay out your clothes? Can you figure out a different way to get your transportation happening perhaps a little bit more efficient? You know, there's a million different ways that you can construct the components of your life. And if you approach it from this idea that you are worthy, your life is sacred, that every day is an opportunity to find more sacredness within the actions of just going about your business, interacting with your coworkers and your family, taking your dog for a walk, all of these moments, peeling an orange, making a pot of tea, all of these moments provide opportunities for really paying attention to them on purpose, examining them, deciding if you want them in your life, and if you do, great, honor them even more. If they aren't serving you in any way, then move them out. And it just takes a little bit of, you know, this is what people talk about when they say coming into consciousness. It just takes a little bit of paying more attention and more attention until it feels habitual.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, one little step, small steps, right? You know, for people like me, and I just want to share this, you know, I was one of these people that had to get something shocking happen to my body for me to be able to stop in my tracks, right? And ask myself the question, wow, what am I going to do to get well? And I happened to find a fabulous naturopath, Dr. Nushin Darvish, here in Bellevue. And I went on a journey, Randy, I'd never gone on before. You know, I didn't know much about natural medicine. I didn't know about, you know, living holistically. I didn't know about the vibration of things. I think when I hear a year of living mindfully, I get a sense today that I get to choose what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and when I'm going to do it. And it starts with myself. You know, am I going to get up in the morning and think about what am I going to eat right now? You know, am I going to get up and say, there's service that I could be doing in the world? Or is there another story? And I think that you talk about these gradual shifts, right? You know, a gradual shift in awareness. I wasn't paying attention to the gradual shift, so I had an opportunity to pay attention like instantaneously.
Yeah, well, with most people, I mean, for a lot of people, it comes through some sort of health crisis. And, you know, that's your body's and your spirit's way of saying, you know, wake up. For other people, it can be gradual shifts. For me, my journey started when I lost my mother to breast cancer when I was in my 20s and she was 54. And that kind of, you know, that rocked my world in all the ways that you could possibly imagine and more. And it started my journey. And it started, you know, me thinking like, what are we here for? You know, what is the purpose of my life? And what's out there for me to know about that I don't know? So I think any time that anyone is able to say, there's got to be more than what I'm seeing, and how can I find that out? Then that starts you on an investigative journey that can only be good. It's only going to take you to good places, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're questioning, and you're not accepting status quo, and you're not accepting anything that anybody tells you is true. You're finding your own truths through your own experiences. And I'm just saying, with the larger part of this book, those experiences don't have to cost money, and they don't have to be complicated, and you don't have to go and get, you know, a panel of experts to guide you through it on a daily basis. Yeah. I'm saying that you have the ability to find these methods that work for you. You have the ability to put together these habits and these rituals that are yours. And to me, that's the best part of it, is that you're creating the components of your life that make sense for you. And I always say, you know, it's about putting the tools in the toolbox, making sure that that box is very big and very flexible, because you never know which tool you're going to need at what point in your life. And some may not work for you anymore that used to work for you. There's always room for new ones. There should be room for new ones. So I sort of get this visual of those expanding accordion file folders, you know, that keep getting bigger and bigger. And I think your self-care techniques are kind of like that. You know, you've got your tried and true ones. You've got the ones that you've heard about, that friends have told you about, that you've read on the Internet that sounds intriguing. You've got some that your naturopath had told you about, or your acupuncturist, or your massage therapist, you know, or just one that you remembered from a childhood, let's say. I mean, I talk a lot in this book about things that I remember my mother and grandmother doing to not only help us feel better when we were children, but there was the ritual aspect, that component of specialness when you sit down and you take off your wet boots and socks and you get a warm cup of tea and you just sort of revel in the wonderful ability to be in that moment, sipping the tea, feeling that comfort. And I think that the more that we can string together those little moments throughout our day where we've given that comfort to ourselves, then you're truly, like you just mentioned, you're connecting with that vibration of your soul.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, as we're making that connection, there's an end game in mind, Randy, and would love for you to talk about the end game in mind. And, for me at that point in time, what I thought was my end game was not going to be, it didn't turn out to be that. Clearly I wanted to feel better, but I had no idea that what it would do for me when I embarked on a journey was it would reinforce what I was passionate about in life and what I could do to be of more service through this thing we're calling radio, conversations of consciousness. I was really on the fence about that. Buying airtime, thousands of dollars of airtime, certainly wasn't in my retirement plan. But for some reason, we get drawn to things only to be revealed later, the rationalization and/or realization. What is it that you found in working with the people you work with that they say happens as a result of this mindfulness journey?
Well, it's revealed to me that life is a beautiful mystery, and you may not always know the contours of it or the shape that it's going to take, but if you're willing to show up and not be afraid of the unknown, then you truly will have a life that's filled with purpose and meaning and adventure and joy and happiness. And, it's not measured with money and possessions, and I know that sounds like a cliche, but it's really true. The things that I think we find in our hearts that resonate, that show us the meaning, our personal meaning in life, are sometimes never what we think. And, like you, I never thought that I would set out on this particular journey and that I would be in this particular place, but here I am, and it feels right. I mean, I think we all know what it feels like when something is a red flag and when it sends off signals like, this doesn't work, or these people aren't right for you, or this relationship is not right for you, or whatever. And then we know what it feels like when it just settles into our bones and we let out a big sigh internally or externally, and we go, yeah, this fits. This fits. This feels right. So I think through our daily habits, this is what I always tell people, if you're not sure of where you want to go next in your life, if you need to maybe change jobs, or you maybe want to move to a new city, or if you're contemplating the end of a relationship, or your children are leaving the nest, and you're sitting around most days going, what is next for me? What's up? What should I do? Then I think rather than tying ourselves in knots, as most of us can tend to do, then you get busy and you collect the rituals and the daily habits that just feel good, that get you through each day. Whether that's reading a book 5 minutes before you go to bed instead of being on the internet, whether it's taking a long walk with a good friend, whether it's, making a pie, whether it's getting up in the morning and just sitting still before you turn on the lights and start moving around your house. There are any number of ways to move these kinds of moments into your life, and I guarantee you just the act of deciding that you want to have them is a way to open up clarity. It's a way to open up understanding where there's confusion. Because I think a lot of our fear and anxiety about change and about what's to come, about the future, and about everything that we don't know is that we begin to tell stories that aren't necessarily true. We start making up stuff because there's a void. We don't know what's there, so we start filling it with stuff that may or may not be true. And that increases the anxiety and the stress. So when you engage in just literal activity that is comforting and soul nourishing, then it gives your mind a chance to calm down a little bit around the stress and anxiety. That's why, people always talk about gardeners and bakers. They get into the zone, artists, and, people get into the zone where they aren't focusing on their stresses and their anxieties and the unknowns, but they're just in the present moment. And that's really what mindfulness teaches us. If you can just focus on what's in front of you and be happy with what's happening now and really revel in this present moment, then you start to open up space in your mind, in your consciousness, in your heart for a little bit more balance, a little less on the hamster wheel of anxiety, And it takes practice. I mean, I'm not saying that it's super, super easy and it's going to happen instantly, but you'd be surprised when you start focusing on a little bit of conscious self-care, how that opens you up. And I think the other thing I want to say about that is, because a lot of people criticize our focus on self-care as being selfish somehow. But it really is like they tell you on the airplane. You got to put your own oxygen mask on first before you try to put it on your child or the person that needs it next to you. You are of no use to anyone in your life if you aren't at your best. Healthy, energetic, focused, calm, balanced, and moving forward with purpose. When you have that in your own life, then you are going to be available to everyone else in your life, and that you will bring them along with you. Then you can truly, be out in the world and doing what you need to do at your most efficient. If you're not healthy, if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're running on fumes. Your car's going to break down by the side of the road. And you truly do want to keep going on this journey. So you got to put gas in the car. You got to take care of yourself. It's not selfish.
Yeah. No, it's not. And, we learn that over and over and over again. And, one of the greatest lessons I think we learn is what happens when we don't do that. And, I know so many people, mostly women, with children that just go, 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 go. And now there are men that do the same thing. They go, 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 go. And there is no break in between. And there's an old movie called Waiting to Exhale, right? That is, I think, what we got going on right now a little bit. We're just holding our breath as if we're going to get more mileage by doing that. And I want to thank you for today and thank you for your message. Please let folks know how they can find out more about you. I know that you've got some free downloads for folks. Let's take a minute to share that with everyone.
Sure. So I have available today 5 downloads, free downloads for anybody that would like to experience my daily meditations, guided meditations. They are designed to listen to in anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, and they're to be of support through your daily life, through this journey of this mindful year, for everything from how to find clarity to how to find better ways to sleep, how to start your day off with energy and positivity. Just for any purpose in your life, you can download and have on your phone, your laptop. It's sort of self-care that goes in your pocket and travels with you. So I've got 5 downloads for 5 listeners today. And this all ties into the material that's in my book, which is on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, The Year of Living Mindfully. And it'll take you through the 4 seasons. The book takes you through the 4 seasons and provides seasonal rhythms, seasonal flavors, textures, and aromas to help you just live a little bit more mindfully on a day-to-day basis. So the idea is to give yourself permission to take time out to take care of yourself in these, any way that feels good and that feels nurturing, so that you can go out there and live your best life and, do the things that not only are, in your heart to do, that you may wish that you want to do more of, but that truly connect you to a larger sense. You've spoken a lot of several times about this, being of service. Yeah. I think that's another way to feel your purpose, find your purpose, is to always think of ways that you can give back to your community, to others in need. And it certainly does pull you out of, the poor me syndrome.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you. And thank you so much for today. Thank you for the show. And thank you for the great work you're doing in the world. Benny, thank you for pushing all the right buttons. And I want to thank all of you again for tuning us in and turning us on. We've got lots planned for you. We'll see you next time.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.